I know you expect jokes and funny metaphors. This one's a bit more of a serious video, but really an incredibly cool story that I just wanted to make people aware of. Don't worry, there's still going to be jokes and metaphors. I can't help myself. Humor is my defense mechanism. But this is a story that a couple of you tagged me in on Twitter, and I did some research in on, and it's just super interesting. And I hope that we're able to follow it and do kind of an update video on it once this guy is able to get on the field again. Because there's a 28-year-old player named Christopher Olsen. You probably not heard of him. Actually, you might have if you're an Arsenal fan. The guy came up through the Arsenal Academy, if I remember correctly. He actually made one appearance for Arsenal before moving to Midtjylland. He then played at Ike. He played at Krasnodar. He played at Anderlecht. Now he's back at Midtjylland, but Midtjylland was the club that he left Arsenal for. The main thing that you might know him from is that he has 47 appearances to the Swedish national team. And he's only 28 years old. He's one of those guys that makes up a national team like Sweden that isn't playing in a major league and is a household name, maybe like a Kulusevski, for example, but makes up the bulk of the team. And definitely, we're talking about somebody that was able to get to a World Cup quarterfinal, right? And has 47 caps for Sweden at the age of 28 years old. But he hasn't played since February because something really horrible and shocking happened to Christopher Olsen. He straight up collapsed at home. Now, I've been watching a lot of House recently. I don't know if you've ever seen that show before. It is a medical show about some dude who walks around, has a limp, has some sort of chronic pain injury, had like a muscle taken out of his leg or something. Don't need to spoil it for you. But they kind of explain that early on in the show. But it's a medical show. And this sort of situation pops out to me. I feel like I'm reading an episode of House, basically. Because what House does is he is the head of diagnostics, right? So when people can't figure out what's wrong with somebody, he's the person that figures out what's wrong with them. And Christopher Olsen basically got something that walked right off a House episode and straight into the world of football. He collapsed at his home and was rushed to Aarhus University Hospital and put on a ventilator. Midtjylland put out a statement stating that he had an illness related to the brain and added the condition was not related to self-harm or external factors. And then in March 7th of this year, they put out a statement saying that after numerous scans and exams, doctors diagnosed that the collapse was caused by several small blood clots in both sides of the brain caused by an extremely rare inflammatory condition in the cerebral arteries. So we're talking about a professional footballer. I would hesitate to call him world-class, but somebody that has played extensively against world-class opposition and held his own, clearly. Right, his club career is neandered a little bit, but he has been a relied-upon member of the Swedish national team since 2017. And then suddenly he just collapses at home, gets put on a ventilator. And suddenly he just collapses at home and gets put on a ventilator. That means his body was not able to breathe enough, and he likely would have died if they had not put him on the ventilator. And now Christopher Olsen himself is okay enough to be saying that he says he's going to play football again. And the reason that this was tagged to me multiple times is because Midtjylland actually won the Danish League trophy. And some dude was driving a golf cart, and guess who's holding that trophy? That's Christopher Olsen. Christopher Olsen, who has obviously not been able to play for Midtjylland since February, is carted in to the trophy celebration on the final day of the season, holding the trophy right there. The fans chanting his name. Just an awesome moment. And I'll show you the rest of it because he's able to walk. So I'm kind of buying this for Christopher Olsen. He actually walks off the cart, and clearly he didn't know where they were headed, but I think that's more of a product of those end of match trophy celebrations always being confusing logistically. He was walking around, and he did multiple interviews. There's an article from BBC about Christopher Olsen saying he will play again after the multiple small blood clots in his brain. I can move well. I can run. My memory is good. I'm getting better every day. I've had tubes and things on me the whole time. I can't believe he said this. It's just hilarious. Now I just have this little thing that helps me pee. That's all that's left. That is somebody that through a months-long medical ordeal has become incredibly comfortable with their own body at that point. Dude's just got a catheter in, but he is rocking it. He's like, yeah, man, I used to have all these tubes and stuff on me the whole time. Now I just have trouble peeing, but that is fine. This is brought to you by, Alpine catheters, the best choice when you need to ram something up your dick. It's like a cloud, basically. Like that one excellent promotional opportunity. If they take that from me, they're going to need to pay me royalties. I don't know if Alpine catheters are real. It just seemed like the right type of name for that sort of brand. You say like Alpine catheters, and then there's just an eagle in the back. Like a squawk or something, and then it's just like a shot of the mountains and some dude hiking, like, I could hike with my catheter. Or my catheter is in somebody that plays for the Swedish national team, although I would assume that the catheter would be out by the time he's playing for the Swedish national team. But the fact that he's at this point and saying he wants to play again really doesn't do justice to how damaged he was and how dangerous this situation was. Tests showed that he had suffered a number of blood clots because of a rare inflammation of the blood vessels in the brain. This is Christopher Olsen referring to the first few weeks after his collapse. You know how long a few weeks is? Bro, I don't remember what I had for lunch last Wednesday. A few weeks, he says, I was basically dying. I was not contactable, and I have no memories from that time. This dude was out for weeks on a ventilator after this, and just a few months later, he's at the trophy celebration at the end of the season. He had to have got through the worst part. I've had to think, be positive, and have patience with everything. Honestly, dude, 3 months after literally almost dying, I feel like you're doing a pretty good job already. But when he actually is going to attempt to make this return is entirely unclear. What's really important for Christopher Olsen is actually getting him back to a normal life. That's got to be the most important thing. Like, obviously, I don't know this guy personally, but just in a rooting for him since. He's still living at a neurological rehabilitation center, according to the AP. And him appearing at the game in May, him appearing in the game a few days ago, the Danish League Trophy, that's his first public appearance that he's made since his collapse. Like, this is very early in the process. I love his optimism. I love the way that he worded it. He didn't say things like, I hope to play football again. He said, I'm going to be able to play football again. But when you're still living in a neurological rehabilitation center, and there's actually no clear timeline for when he's supposed to return home and kind of resume a normal life. When people are saying things like it's not clear when he's going to be able to return home and have a normal life, this could be a multi-year process of Christopher Olsen trying to get back. But he says he's also been kicking the ball around at the rehab center, so the guy is he is dying to get out on the field. No, right, Christopher, I really hope you're okay, man. Sorry. But based on everything Christopher Olsen is saying, the worst is behind him. It is a long road to recovery, like a full recovery. But he said, I'm not stressing over it. It will take the time it takes, but I can move well. I can run. My memory is good. Getting better with every day. But I do know one thing for sure. I'm rooting for Christopher Olsen to get back out there. I think it'd be one of the craziest things I've ever seen. And I really hope he's just okay, because bunch of blood clots in your brain, that is, according to all my watching of House, never good. Never good. But this dude has somehow bounced out of that and was able to celebrate the trophy with his team, which is beyond awesome. So, congrats and good luck.